More chosen ones? Let's discuss tonight. Hey everyone, welcome back to another Acolyte-tastic episode of Empire Radio. I'm Jeremiah.
I'm Drew.
And we are back with the Acolyte Season 1, Episode 3, Destiny. Yep. And tonight's going to be a doozy of an episode because normally I can fit a single episode of whatever from my notes on one page.
Ooh.
I got 2 full pages on this one.
Ooh.
So I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but we'll find out.
I guess we'll find out.
But before we jump into today's episode, we should go over last week's Q&A on Spotify. And I asked if is Kimar, or whatever the guy's name is from the first 2 episodes, the Asian guy, is he actually May's master, the hidden master that we don't know? Now, I'm surprised we only got 2 responses from that. I thought we would get a lot.
Yeah.
But Dazdor says, yes, probably that guy is shady. I totally agree with Jeremiah's overall thoughts on the show so far. And then Darth Bruno says, no, he looks too innocent and not powerful enough, which I think is the whole point.
Well, yeah, Palpatine was like that for years.
Yep, no one is so if everyone else thought he was a Sith Lord or dark side user, then that would be a problem. But so he's doing something right if he is the master. But that's all we got. But yes, so we're back.
Kind of just shows you the overall thoughts of the show so far, which is so weird because I've talked to people that aren't like diehards that like ask me, like, for instance, like coworker asked me, was like, I like the Acolyte and I started watching Ahsoka because I just got so pumped for Star Wars. And then they're like, so you think Maul's gonna come into season 2? Like those kind of people of the Ahsoka show. I'm like, okay, well,
that's not how Star Wars works.
Maul's dead. Wait, he died? Okay, well. Okay, well.
Anyway,
so it works for some audiences, apparently.
Yep. So last week, Drew and Andrew had kind of opposite feelings of my thoughts. So last week, Drew and Andrew kind of they liked it. It wasn't their favorite, but they still enjoyed it. They liked it for the first 2 episodes, and for me, I kind of hated it. If you want to know why, we spent like 45 minutes discussing our overall thoughts of the first 2 episodes. So go check that out because I thought it was a really good discussion.
Well, and also like our viewership on the first one, like on YouTube, I feel like people like listen to our breakdown.
Yeah, we got a lot of people watching on YouTube, and we got, like with every show, the first episode of a season breakdown, it's always way more than all our other episodes. So we do have a lot more reviews on the audio version on Spotify and stuff. So people are interested, but yeah, definitely go check out that breakdown from last week. It was a really good discussion. Even if you didn't like the show, if you didn't like the episode, you still like our discussion because I thought it was a really good breakdown. But we're here for episode 3, and I wanted to start off with. Normally we ask you what your overall thoughts are, but I'm
okay.
I'm making an executive decision.
Go ahead. No, I'm not arguing with that. I'll go last. I'm fine with me.
So I thought this episode was amazing.
Wow, amazing! All right.
I really, 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 really like this episode. And the thing is, if you look at thumbnails on YouTube, everyone hates this episode. They think it's the worst thing ever made in Star Wars. You go look at the YouTube's biggest Star Wars personality. He absolutely hated it.
He hates this show so much.
Dude, it's
the everyone, name that we can't say because we don't.
Everyone just hates this episode, like worse than last week. And I just people are just I think people just wanna hate it just to hate it. Like,
Yeah.
people, because there's all these rumors and all this controversy going into the show, like what the show is gonna be about and what the intentions are by the writers and directors and stuff, and people just wanted to go in hating it.
Yeah.
And but, like, I didn't really pay attention to a lot of that stuff because I just wanted to, like, I don't wanna be part of the toxic part of Star Wars.
Yeah.
But watching this episode, like, this is everything that I wanted in the like, from a show like this.
Mm.
Like, I'm kinda disappointed that, like, this witch stuff was only a flashback. I thought we were gonna get this witch stuff, like, throughout the show, like, as, like,
Yeah.
during this conflict,
Mhm.
which is fine, whatever. But I really liked it. I like the story. I like the world building. It adds so much to, like, understanding of the Force, and we see, I think, why the Jedi are failing in this episode, like starting the fall of the Jedi, 100 years before episode one.
Mhm.
Um, I I really like the girls that played May and Osha.
Mhm.
Um, I think their acting was, for their age, it was actually pretty good. I
Really
think
good.
I think there was some, like, they were directed to do some things that are kind of stupid, like when they're like pushing each other all the time. Like the whole episode, they're just like pushing each
Yeah,
other and like
like, they're like siblings, like, fighting over
like
dumb stuff. I thought May was a better actor than Osha, personally, though.
I think that they were equally good, but they're written as opposite characters, like we already know.
Yeah. Mhm.
And like my favorite thing about those girls, because they're sisters, but they're not like identical twins. Because I was like watching them, I'm like,
No, because you
are
could
they?
tell, like, one of their
I
noses
know.
are a
That's
little
why I was
different.
like, I
Yeah.
had to look it up, and they're sisters, and I believe they're twins, but they're just not identical twins. So I
Mm.
was like watching it. I'm like, they're going from each character. I'm like, do they look different? Like something's.
Yeah, I was like, at first, I was like, "Oh, it's just one girl playing both parts," and then they got closer, I'm like, "Whoa, whoa, 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 whoa," and
Yeah,
then I got confused, I'm like, "Wait, I thought she was May. Wait, well, hold
yeah,
up, I'm confused," and then I just followed the nose the rest of the way because it's like, it's not being mean, they just have different noses, but, like,
right.
besides that, all their facial features are pretty much the same, but
And
their
their hair is the
noses.
same too. That doesn't
Yeah,
help.
it doesn't help, but, like, one of their noses is a little bit different looking than the other one,
And
so it was easier to
I
keep them
think
apart.
May has a little bit more rounder face too, just maybe a little bit.
Mhm.
But once I realized that they were like separate, they're just separate actors, then it made it easier for me. But like,
Yeah.
I I really like how um like the facial expressions, like how like during like the ceremony, like when they're walking through, like May, her head is up, she's smiling, she's excited, and then you see Osha and she's like sad and her head's down.
She's, like,
Um,
scared almost.
yeah, like I just like that contrast. And then like later on, when Osha has her test with the Jedi, and then she like walks out of the ship, and May runs up to her, like she runs up with like a little bit of happiness, and if you just watch it, her face slowly gets sad and angry. It's like very slightly different in
Mhm.
like her face, and it was just like perfect. Like those the girls killed it. I thought for what they were given.
Oh, and honestly, like, Osha's scene with, mommy or their mom or whatever, like, that scene was intense. 'Cause she was crying, and then, like,
Yeah,
Osha wanted a certain, like, that was a beautiful scene. Like, I thought it was really well directed, and then the acting on both sides were really well done, and, like, you believed it. Like, it wasn't anything about that scene that took you out of that moment. Like, you were in that moment, and you're watching a mother let her child decide to never see her again, and it was, like, pretty intense.
right.
So,
Yeah. So I just really liked, and I really like how we were left on a cliffhanger in that we only got like 75% of the story of what happened with the fire. Because I can tell you right now, all those witches, they were not burnt to a crisp from a fire.
mm.
So we don't, and we saw also one. I didn't realize that.
I was gonna mention that.
Torben?
That Torben was that Padawan? Because
Yeah.
I remember last week I even said, I'm like, "Who's the Padawan on, like"
It's
we
the
haven't
same
got that
actor.
character yet. It's the same actor, but he looks so much different that, like, we
It's
just totally
funny
missed it.
because last week I was like, I thought he looked stupid with his fake beard that they put on his face. I'm like, oh, now it
Mhm.
makes sense because it's the same actor. They just put a beard on
Yeah.
him. I'm like, okay, it's the same actor, whatever. I thought I was funny, whatever.
Yeah.
um,
Well, I think they did a pretty good job because I literally was talking about the poster, how, like, characters we haven't seen yet in the poster, and it was like we still haven't seen like the Quill looking character, but then like I'm like, we don't know who this Padawan is yet. But it was we actually did the whole time.
yeah. So yeah, and so like something happened at that temple that the Jedi are lying about, and I
I don't think she started that fire. I think that fire was way too intense, so fast for one little tiny match. I think the Jedi started that fire. Personally, I think that had something to do with it.
I don't know. I think.
There's a reason why what Torben felt guilty and killed himself.
Or I know. I'm not saying that the Jedi didn't do something shady. I just don't know if it was the fire or not. Because there's other things going on. We'll get to it in the episode. That I'm like, something else is going on here, and like even at the end of the episode, Torben he has his scar on his eye and face,
Mhm.
and so
You don't get a blinded eye from fire
right, and
with
there's
how
no
fire burns.
yeah, and so like I kind of like that the Jedi are portrayed as the antagonist, like as the bad guys almost. Like I kind of like that. And I know a lot of people don't like that because they hate it.
Is that what people hate about this episode? I
People,
haven't like paid any attention to
uh,
it at all.
I just saw all the thumbnails and I read a little bit, but like people are mad about like how Osha and May don't have a father, that they were created by witch magic because they
Well,
think
they
that
didn't really say how it was created though.
the mother, the head mother, said that she created him and there's no
Huh?
father, and so
Why
people
is
are
that?
mad because it contradicts the Anakin thing. It doesn't make sense. Blah blah blah. Like whatever, and then people just don't like the story. Like
Well,
they
it's
think it's
not.
corny. They don't like the
Yeah.
girls. They thought like it's lame. I'm like, they don't like that.
Oh.
Like they have a different explanation of the Force, which is like the whole point.
Well,
Like
it's they're viewing it through their perspective.
yeah, and like
They're witches. They're not Jedi.
yeah, and we see like other people use the Force differently in Star Wars, created by George Lucas.
Yeah.
Like we already got witches specifically, and how they use it different than Jedi. Like
Did these people now watch Rebels?
I don't
Like,
know. People are just I don't know. I don't want to be.
I think you're right. Like, I mean, you guys know this. Like, the only really thing that we continuously, I should say, as in me, hate on is like episode 8. But besides that, like, we're pretty like try to see the good in all of it, and we try our best to like it. And or Jeremiah will make sure that we like it in some way, and
Yep.
he'll keep us in line, vice versa, right? But like our job is like I feel like for this podcast and what we want to bring to I mean, we've said this a million times, but if you are new somehow and you found us, like our goal is not to just like hate everything that Disney puts out or nitpick literally everything. Our goal is not that. Our goal is to make sure that we are viewing this as a viewing experience and try to find the good in it. If it's bad, it's bad. Like episode 4 of Bad Batch season 2. That's just bad. Like it's bad. And we'll call it out, but like we're not going to hate the entire show and give up on it or like just
Right.
mad like we're not going to just talk trash the entire time. Like and there's so many like Star Wars fans like it gets toxic and it's just like come on guys, like you're not bringing the light to the world by like doing like you're not helping.
Right.
Like let's try to do this together, and if it's bad, it's bad. But like Like you said, you feel like people are literally just trying to hate it because they want to hate it because it's not what they wanted it to be. Well,
Right.
it's like, well, when you build something up and you have all these theories and you're all these predictions stuff, and if it doesn't hit those marks, you're going to be let down. So like go into it with a fresh perspective, and that's like the best viewing experience for anything, right? Like if you don't watch a trailer for a movie but you know the name and you know the franchise, you go watch it. It's always better than watching a trailer and like watching all the breakdowns and all the spoilers, because then you're going to be spoiled. So, and then it doesn't hit what you want it to be, and you have your hype is too high. Like,
Yeah. But we still
it's
do trailer breakdowns.
okay. Well, our job is to break down trailers, but I'm just saying,
Yeah.
like in the sense of like, just come in open minded and don't give up on the show after 2 episodes and like just want it to be bad. Because like I said earlier, like there's people that like aren't like diehard Star Wars fans, and they're enjoying the show, like they're liking it.
Right.
And I think there's a lot of, especially this episode, I think there's a lot in this episode that is cool and different, and it felt like Star Wars to me
Yeah,
compared to the last 2 episodes. Like,
like one of the big things I said last week was that it didn't feel like Star Wars to me. It felt more like a Marvel show. But
mhm.
I like, even though this was witches, like it felt like Star Wars to me. Like the way they just talked about the Force in their own unique way. It's like it fits it for
And the
me.
alien species that we're getting were familiar to us too, so that kind of also helped.
Except for that old lady. I don't know what the heck she
Uh,
was.
so that was like, what's her name? What's the
Like
girl?
Maz Kanata.
It was like, let's take Maz essentially. Oh, Daddy Palps in the chat. What's up?
Yep. He says he hasn't watched it yet because people are hating it so much.
And see, that's what we're trying.
Come on, Daddy Palps.
Just watch it for your own perspective, and then you
Yeah.
can decide if you hate it. But like,
Yeah.
there's actually multiple other people have come. Oh, I haven't watched it yet because people say it's bad. Like, but if you just watch it, then you'll know if it's bad or not. Like, make your own decision on it. If you don't like it, you don't like it. That's fine, and we can argue for years to come about that. But like to just don't watch it because it's bad. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah, Daddy Palps, don't let the toxic fans ruin your experience. Like, we're telling you right now, just go watch it. Go with an open mind. It's not perfect,
and
but
he
there's
said
still a
he
lot of good
doesn't
stuff.
hate anything. I just don't have time. Okay,
Oh, there's that too.
that's fair. That's fair. You have a newborn and you have kids running around, and yeah, that's
All
fair.
right. Well, that was my overall thoughts. Drew, what were your overall thoughts?
I liked it. I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. I kind of wanted a little bit more in the sense of like, I just want more of like that. I enjoyed the cliffhanger, but kind of like they left you wanting more.
We're not gonna get the answers to like episode
And we're probably not
7.
gonna get to the end of the show, but like the last episode probably, and then you're gonna hate it. And then if people keep hating on the show, they're not gonna be reboot, like there's not gonna be season 2, and then we may never really know,
Oh,
which
that
would
makes me so
suck.
mad.
But I don't know. I like it, and like I'm enjoying this universe. Like I'm enjoying 100 years before episode 1. I'm enjoying what potentially it looked like and characters, and like I really liked how you felt like what the Jedi were doing was actually bad. Like taking kids, like, oh, you have to let us see your kids.
Right.
As a parent, I'm like, no, you don't. You don't need to see my kid. You know what I mean? Like I could understand why they would be hesitant just as a parent. Like, not even besides the fact that they made the kids like illegally, apparently. Like whatever. Like they birthed these kids and they weren't supposed to, and like who's the father? Like besides that point, when they're like, yeah, like well, we have to see both of them and we have to test them. It's like, but why? Why do you have to test them? We're not even part of the we're not even in like the Republic. Like, you don't have to touch my kid. So like when she would say that, I'm like, yeah, you don't wait, hold up. Y'all be no, back off. You don't need so like
But it's the thing is about that is we've always known that's what Jedi do.
I know, but we've never seen it.
I know. So it's like
That's
we
the
all
difference.
like we keep in our mind like, yeah, the Jedi they kidnap kids or take kids, whatever.
Literally kidnap
But
kids.
but like when we actually see it happening, then we're like, hold on.
Exactly, because this is something that we know of. Like, we know that the Jedi go find kids that have Force sensibility, and they take them from their parents. And their parents are supposed to be like, "Yeah, here's my child that I spent 9 months birthing and taking care of and raising up until a certain age and all that stuff, and then, yeah, go ahead, you can take them, you can have them. I'll never see them again." Like, as a parent, that's crazy to think about. But then just 2, it's like, yeah, it is kinda dark. Like, it's a really kind of messed up tradition that the Jedi were doing, and to actually see it visually instead of just hearing about it and you know that this is what they do, but actually visually seeing it for the first time, it hits a little different. And
Yeah.
also the feel this whole episode felt like it was a little different because we're viewing it from their perspective, not the Jedi perspective. So it feels like it's like you said, it's like an antagonist, like they were the bad guys.
Right.
So I don't know. I liked it. I thought it was different. I love like Lost Stars, for instance. That book, I'll say it again. I love it. It's the best book. But you like that book because you're viewing the Empire and the Rebellion at the same time through two different people.
Right.
And you see like, oh, like they blew up the Death Star. All my friends were on the Death Star. I know people that were on the Death Star and my friends died. Oh, they blew up a planet. I grew up on that planet. Family died and like all these people died. So you can see it through both perspective and you understand like war is war, like people are getting hurt no matter what. And it's kind of like the same like I really like that where like we're always used to being let's go Jedi and cheering them on, but we're never really seeing the impact that they're actually having and like not everything they do is perfect.
Right.
And so to feel that and through their perspective is really cool. And I thought it was really well done.
Right.
So I liked it. I liked that part of it. I thought like how the kids didn't know that the other mother birthed them was kind of really intense and a different like way to see it and like how she already knew that Osha was like the trouble one and always having issues and she always wanted to look outwards instead of like be part of this group.
Right.
I thought it was cool. I don't know. I liked the episode. I thought I liked it. And it kept me engaged and I didn't there wasn't a part that like took me out of the show.
Right. I
So
agree.
I thought it was a good episode and I think people nitpicking they're just gonna nitpick anything. Like what gives them the most views? A thumbs down with an angry emoji thumbnail.
Maybe I should, because I already have my all my thumbnails
I
made.
think maybe we should clickbait and see.
I maybe I can just put on there like a really like a statement of like
No, you should do
Star Wars at its best or something like it's on part of it
uh-huh.
or something like that.
And then we'll get the opposite reaction where people are like, "Wait, these people actually like it. What's wrong with them?" And then yeah, you should just test the waters this week,
I
or
should.
just both of our faces like thumbs up, like complete opposite vibe. And it would be interesting to see people's reactions to it. Like I don't know, I like the show so far. It's I don't know. I'm not hating it the way that a lot of people are hating it. And maybe we're broken. Maybe Disney beat us down all the way to the point where we can't do it right anymore. I don't know, but I don't know. It's still enjoyable for me. So
And I think another thing that made this episode work was you didn't feel constrained by a small set like the first two episodes.
yeah.
It seemed much more granted because they're like in this like giant
They
compound in
kept
a
showing
mountain.
it too, like
Yep, and
from the
like
outsider's perspective.
they're in like big open spaces, like outside or like even like inside the temple.
It
There was
was
like a
huge.
big open area
Mhm.
that they were sitting in,
Agreed.
and it kind of it had a similar feel to like um those episodes of Andor, the Eldani, like when they're like
Yeah.
undercover. It
Mhm.
kind of felt like that a little bit. Just the aesthetic and just kind
A
of
little
like
dark.
darker, wide open space on a mountain. Like, kind of felt like that to me when I was watching.
Yeah, I don't know. I enjoyed it. Like I said, um, yeah. I don't
All
know.
right, cool.
Do we know Andrew's thoughts?
Nope, he didn't send us anything in. He's a scrub.
What a scrub. I think he liked it. I'm gonna say he liked it, but I
Yep.
don't know. He might hate it.
But we might as well just jump into scene by scene. So the whole episode is one giant flashback, 16 years before the first two episodes, and they're on the planet Brendok, and we kind of like scan over, like fly over a mountain, and kind of just see the scenery a little bit, and then it goes to a yellow tree, kind of looks like a willow, kind of like a willow tree, but it's like yellow, like leaves and whatever. And that's the bunta tree that we get told about last week. What that was like poisonous, and so this is the same tree where they get the leaves from to make the poison. And so OSHA,
Not confusing with Bunta Eve. Completely different Buntas.
but I think it's spelled differently.
Probably. I
I think.
don't remember how the first one
I
was
don't know.
spelled.
I don't know. But yeah, so OSHA is there just hanging out at the tree, and like there's this cool like butterfly fairy looking thing that like flies in, which is actually based off of like a real life animal, like ocean animal that they I saw a picture of it, like
Oh, but it's in water instead of out of
yeah.
water kind of
So
thing?
it almost looks exactly the same, but they just kind of changed it to look more like a butterfly in the show. So
Oh,
that's
that's
cool
cool.
that they did that. And so it's just flying around, and it's OSHA is able to like use the force to like hold it in place and like kind of like put it on her hand a little bit, but she like let it go. And then May finds her and like yells at her, "Where have you been?" Blah blah blah, like whatever. But then like she sees the butterfly and like grabs it and like uses power and strength to like, control it. And OSHA's like, "Stop! Why do you always do that?" Blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Like
Well, and even like the music and stuff was like, like it got dark when she did it. And it was kind of dark. It was like straight up animal abuse. Like this thing's just trying to fly around and then it gets stuck and like
yeah.
it's a little dark.
And so like this whole episode, you see that OSHA is much more tender, and May is a lot more like angry. I don't know, upset, or like more like like a light side, dark side type of portrayal, but like within kids. And so they kind of mimic their parents. So like um, Anastasia, who's like the head mother, is much more understanding and more compassionate and loving, and she's kind of more like OSHA. But then the birth mother, um, what was her name? Coral. Coral. She's more strict and like more about like maintaining tradition and stuff. And so May's more kind of like her. So I thought that was kind of interesting that they kind of parallel their parents. Um, and so the reason OSHA is at this tree is because there going to be a there's going to be an ascension ceremony that the girls are to be a part of, and we don't know what it is at this point, what it is, but OSHA does not want to be a part of the ascension. She just doesn't want to do it. And so, but May is like, no, you have to. Like, this is part of who we are. This is how we become witches or whatever. And so they leave, but then like they're walking through the woods, and May is trying to recite like their like twin code, like you are me, I am you, we're two but always one, or whatever the thing is. Like,
We are all together. It's like the Beatles song. I
yeah.
am me and me. And you. No, what I'm talking about.
How does that go? Sing it.
I'm not gonna sing it. I don't have Andrew to make my voice sound good. Okay, so I'm not gonna sing it.
So like May is trying to recite this, but OSHA is not like saying her parts, and so May gets upset and like makes her like say the whole thing, and then they get kind of happy, whatever. They finally say it together, and then their mother Coral shows up. What are you girls doing out? You're not supposed to be outside the perimeter walls. Like, you're supposed to stay inside to be where it's safe. And they're like, whatever, we're fine, blah, blah, blah. She's like, whatever, we're going back to the mountain or whatever. And so as they're being led away by their mother, we see Master Soul run behind a tree and look as they're being taken away. I was like, okay, so the Jedi are there, and he's
looking.
He's watching from a distance. And so then we get to this compound that the witches are at, and it's like in a mountain way up. Also, I should mention, like, if you're that first part where they're like walking through the woods and stuff, if you look in the background, there's a lot of like ruins of like things that are like overgrown with like plants and stuff. So it's like this planet used to have a civilization. There used to be people there, but then it looks like it's been abandoned. And we kind of find out that the witches kind of took over this compound because that planet was empty, so they just took it for themselves, and that's where they're living, is this compound in a mountain. Yep. So we go inside, and it's a lively, happy community of all women. They're all witches, and they're just it's just like a marketplace. People are just happy, just doing their everyday whatever. Kind of like everyone's doing their part to make their village survive and be prosperous, and everyone seems to be happy. They introduce a new Star Wars food called spice creams, and there's already a baking recipe on StarWars.com for spice creams. So I'm sure that would be something that would be served at Galaxy's Edge.
I thought you were going to say something that you're going to make.
No, you gotta buy like edible flowers for that stuff. I'm like, I don't got time for that.
Oh, okay.
There's edible flour on each one. I'm like, I'm good. That's way too expensive, probably.
But you looked it up.
Well, because I saw the article pop up as I looked at the article.
Oh, okay.
But they want to have some spice creams, but then their strict mother's like, no, those aren't for girls who disobey the rules. And then Mother Anastasia comes like, give them some sweet, sweet cream, whatever to call it. And like, they're fine, whatever, just give it to them, whatever. And so,
good parent, bad parent.
Yep. And so the girls, they go grab a spice cream and they run off, and then the two mothers go talk privately, and they're just basically like, this is a safe place. Like the Anna says, like, I have chosen this place. This is a safe place. Like, you don't have to worry. But then like the other mother, Coral, accuses Anastasia of being too soft and too lenient, basically, because she's more strict, and so there's kind of like the opposite parent, like, philosophies or whatever. But Coral does mention that there's Jedi on this planet, and they're keeping an eye on them. So that's very interesting. That they're aware that the Jedi are there. And they're like, oh, all right, it's starting to go down. We're gonna see what happens. And so next we get this is where people are seemingly frustrated about the lesson on this perspective on the Force and how they describe it as a thread. It's not a power that you control, but it's a thread that. It's interesting because everyone's complaining that it's like a different explanation of the Force that George Lucas never wanted, but they literally use very similar language to what Yoda described the Force as in Episode 5. Specifically, the binding. Like, Yoda says that it binds everything together, but here they say it binds people to each other, and it ties us to destiny. And it's just a thread that you don't control the thread; you just pull it, and you kind of like are. It's kind of confusing. Like, the Force in general is just confusing, but like, it's just something that they don't take for power and use it. It's something it's just there, and it ties people together and makes them stronger together, which we'll see in this scene how they do this weird like force push thing. Like it almost felt like there was like an object there that they were pushing, because you see her like do the thread thing with her hand, and you see a little like
invisible
distortion,
thread,
like something visible there. And but then here they're doing like a force push. You don't see like an object, but like the way they just maybe they're just good actors. I don't know, but it felt like there was like an object there.
Yeah, like they're pushing a ball around, like a medicine ball or something.
Right. And so Anastasia, she like force pushes against this one woman who catches the force, and Anastasia is able to like overpower her. And she's like, okay, that's just with one person. And she calls another witch, so then it's 2 against Anastasia, and they're able to hold the mother back more until she like puts on turbo mode or something, and then pushes them back. But it was like one is certain power, but if you're with someone else, it makes you even more powerful. And so their focus, throughout the show is every one of us is tied together, and the more that we stay together and are unified, the stronger we'll be. We don't have to be an individual thing. So it's like an opposite of the Jedi where they're against attachments. Like here, they're like, no, we're tied. We're literally tied together by a thread, and we're attached to each other, and that's what makes us stronger. And so I thought that was an interesting theme that contrasts the Jedi.
I think so. Going, I don't want to jump ahead, but it's not really jumping ahead. So if you remember the trailer, you got all those guys on a hill.
Yeah.
Like literally all those Jedis. I think that's gonna show like that perspective, the Jedi's perspective of what's happening. Because all of them are there, and then the Padawan was there with his yellow lightsaber. If I remember correctly, I could be remembering wrong, but
yeah, we'll definitely see the other side of the story, but we should say also during this whole like demonstration, Osha and May are in the background, like pushing each other, being annoyed by each other. Like this was like the scene that was kind of lame for me, like them just in the back, like pushing each other and like, stop it, no, you stop it, you started it, like kind of that stuff. Like I don't know, it seemed a little over the top to me, but it's whatever. So Anastasia, she gets upset and like something along the lines like, your enemies aren't going to tell you when they attack, and she just force pushes her kids to the ground, which I thought was funny. And so then she tells them, all right, catch this force push, basically. And she, pushes towards the girls, but then Meg steps in front of Osha and catches it and pushes back, and Osha is just standing in the back, like hiding, basically, not participating in this because she doesn't want to be a part of what they're doing. And so May gets, praise from Coral, but Coral like, scolds Osha for not being strong enough or whatever to participate. And then something weird happens. It's I don't know why, like it has to do with the side of the story that we didn't get, but they hear something around the corner, and like they go and look, and it's like a power generator or something. Like it made a noise, and there's worried about that. And so we don't see it again till the end of the episode, but I feel like something's going on with that power generator or whatever that machine is that contributed to whatever happened
with the explosion.
But like I wonder if, like, do you think that the Jedi went to this planet like for the purpose of finding the witches, Or do you think that they were there for some other reason and they happened to find the witches?
I think they're there purposely to find the witches.
Because part of me,
And then they saw the kids, and then they're like, okay, well, we need to get these kids out of here, and then we're gonna kill these witches.
because I don't know, because I feel like there's something going on with that power generator, and that's why they were there. Like they went to go investigate something, like to recover that or something. I don't know.
Mm.
I don't know. I don't really have any evidence for it, but like I feel like they accidentally discovered these witches, and then like oh they saw the girls and like oh we gotta intervene and get these girls out of here, type of thing. So it's like
Because in this episode, did we see like the building, like the outside perspective of the thing blowing up?
no, we just see the fire from
Okay,
a
so
distance of like the complex burning down.
that must be later then.
Yeah, so
'Cause in the trailer, you see like that building that their compound they're in, and there's like explosions from the outside of it. So maybe it blew up. Maybe the
oh,
Jedi's went there to like deal with it, look at it, and they accidentally triggered it to blow up on accident. Like maybe it was an accident.
but they're just using May's fire as an excuse to like it was May's fault. She
Cover it up.
cover it up.
Yeah, because I think at a certain point May knows, but then like um Osha never knew what actually happened.
Right.
I think this episode shows you her perspective of actually what happened, but somehow May survives and May actually knows what happened,
Right. Because
which is why she is so angry.
like OSHA and us, the audience, share the same perspective on what happened.
Mhm.
But you know, OSHA, she's a little kid and she doesn't know how to like realize, oh, these bodies aren't all burned. They didn't die from a fire. Like she's not. She's just
Mhm.
freaking out. Soul's trying to get her out, and she just doesn't know what to think. But I don't know. I think it has something to do with that power generator or whatever that
Mhm.
thing is. But we'll see. We'll find out later, probably. Um, then it's just kind of like a little like family meeting type thing with the girls and Anastasia, and Osha just says she doesn't want to be a witch. Like it's just not what she wants. But Anastasia is like, but you two are special because you're tied together in a unique way. Like you can't have one without the other. Um, and so like I think it was you last week said that you were theorizing that the master wants both of them, Osha and May, and maybe it's because a they're tied together in a unique way. Like you know, she says that you know two
Actually, I think that was Andrew because I was
Andrew,
saying that I think the master is using May to get closer to Osha and using May as bait to get Osha.
right? So I think that is true either way. Like I
Yeah.
wonder if it's like, but he also knows that he needs both of them because of their unique connection to each other. Like
Mhm.
they're created to be a special like duo.
Mhm.
And
Well, and there, I feel like it also seemed like they're created to keep the line of this witch clan
right
alive.
because they're the only two kids in this whole
Mhm.
thing, which will there's another scene later that
But that will
goes
also
over it.
explain why they're always fighting and picking on each other and stuff because they have no one else. Like they don't have another. Like they didn't
Plus,
have
plus their
a
siblings and siblings are
well
fighting.
siblings, sure, but like they also didn't have like kids. Like I feel like anytime you have siblings, right, they're always picking on each other. But then there's always one kid who bullies one of them, and then the other one comes and saves the day from their sibling. You know what I mean? Like there was
Right,
no outside like tension to even make them closer than they already are.
right,
Besides the fact that they're twins.
right.
And somehow they become identical, but they weren't.
Yeah. So and again, Anastasia says that the many are stronger together compared to just the one. It's like why she's like, oh, like we need you because you're stronger with us, and then we're stronger with you. Like we
Yeah.
need you, and so there's that, and then she also says,
I do have one thing that kind of bothered me,
set.
but I guess it doesn't bother me. I'm just curious. I guess something that we'll learn, hopefully. But I'm just curious, like how, like Osha was clearly already for like using the Force. Like she already has it. She's been trained in a different way than the Jedi. But then
Right.
she was trained as a Jedi. But then she can't even grab that thing across like the
Well,
cell.
that's because if you don't practice, you lose.
Like she must have really turned herself off from the Force.
Yeah, like she just like Luke says in the Mandalorian, like talent without training like isn't anything. So like if she's not being trained by witches
Mm,
or the Jedi, and she just wants to like leave
fit
all that
in.
leave all that
Yeah.
stuff behind, both the witches and the Jedi, she's not going to use the power. So
Does it make you think though the reason why she ended up leaving the Jedi Order is because maybe she does figure out what happened and she doesn't trust the
no,
Jedi
she
anymore?
no, because if she knew what happened, then she'd hate the Jedi. And I think it was said last week, like Andrew, you said like when she finds out the truth, she might then turn to the dark side and like join the witches or join the Master or whatever.
Yeah, I
So
don't think there's witches anymore.
I think so. I think that's a possibility that when she finds out the truth, she's going to join May or the Master, which is unfortunate because she's supposed to be the good one, but then she gets corrupted by the Jedi themselves. So,
Yeah. Which is
but
a cool story and it's
yeah,
intriguing and it's different and it's unique, which is why I think it's really fun.
yep. Um, and then Anastasia says something that like the galaxy doesn't like witches, and that they're kind of like outcasts. And, like we'll find out later that they were like exiled and like persecuted and stuff. So like because Osho wants to leave and explore the galaxy, like she's putting herself in danger for having these witch roots, and so the mom is just trying to protect her daughter, but the daughter just doesn't know what the
Understand.
real understand. And then we got like a little like thing which is kind of I don't understand the purpose of it, but it then goes to a shot of like the hole in the ground where the ceremony takes place later on. Like I don't understand. Like there's like witches there. It's like looking at the hole and like doing like a little like thing over it, like chanting or something. But it's like why did they show that? I didn't really get. But
Maybe.
it kind of reminded me a little bit of the Last Jedi. There's that hole in the ground that has the black stuff coming out of it that Rey jumps in. Like
Mm.
maybe that's something similar. I don't know, but it's just weird that they just put this random shot in there for no reason. It felt like
Or maybe it's gonna tie in later.
it will tie in later, but I'm like, we see the hole later during the ascension ceremony, so it's like, what's the point of taking 10 seconds? But whatever. Next scene, the girls are getting ready for the ceremony, and they're getting their hair done
Did.
by two other people, and so they're
Mhm.
just sitting next to each other. But then like Osha, she's like drawing something, and she doesn't want to show May, and May gets upset, and they start arguing, and Osha's like, I want to be my own person. Like, I want to have my own private stuff. I want to like have my own thing. I don't have to share everything with you. I want to be my own person. And May says we're the same person. Like we're one person. But she's like, and she's like, Osha had a great line. She's like, you only think that because we're the only children here. And then the ladies doing their hair, I was like, oh, burn. Like, I thought it was kind of like stopped, but it was kind of funny. Um, and so then Osha is just saying how there's things out in the galaxy that she wants. Like, there's more to the galaxy than just this planet. But then May was like, well, everything that I want is here on this planet. And so it's like, again, two opposite things where May is very content with her culture and, the witch culture and what they have on Brendock in this community. But Osha is like, no, I want something else. And so I just like they keep at every scene, like they're always showing this division between the two. And I really, really appreciated that. And then we get to the Ascension ceremony. And this was some crazy witch stuff going on. So it's at night, and they go to this hole, and there's like in the sky, like there's like two moons or two planets or something, like right behind each other, like one in front of the other, but they're a little off, so you can see it. It's just kind of like what the Acolyte logo has for the O.
Yeah,
it's like slightly offset a little bit, and there's like a little line. It seemed like between them, like a thread, kind of implying. And so they started
this whole scene
doing.
was pretty dark, though. It was kind of creepy. Not
It
gonna
was,
lie.
yeah. If you don't like witch stuff, this is kind of weird.
It was pretty creepy.
But they started doing like chanting and like hand motions and stuff like that, and then Mother Anastasia comes in. I was like, "This is the first ascension ceremony we've had since our exile. We've been hunted and persecuted and chased down, but we're safe here. We found you. I brought you here, and we can finally, pass on our tradition to the next generation." And because she's like, we were on the run, but then a miracle happened, and it was life. And then it goes to the twins walking in. And here, May, she has a big happy face walking through the crowd, but Osha is very sad walking through the crowd. And Anastasia says that these two are kind of came together and they're special, but they can't be separated. Like it's like important that they stay together. And then more chanting and chanting, and I was like, then like the music was singing the chanting words. So I don't know if that was supposed to imply that the witches were singing or if it was just, I don't know, but it was kind of like a choir singing what they were chanting. And then the moons start like aligning and like moving and whatever. And we actually find out May and Osha's full names. So it's Mayho and then Verosha. So that's cool. And their last name is Anastasia, which is so Mother Anastasia. Her first name must be Mother, I guess. I don't know.
I feel like all witches are mother something though.
Yeah.
Like Mother Talzun. Like
Yeah. And so during the ceremony, like Anastasia, she like reaches up to the sky and like pulls down the thread in a sense. Like it seems like she's like pulling the thread down from the force down to her daughters. And like first, May steps up and she's like, after my death, are you going to continue our traditions or whatever? And May says yes. And then Anastasia pulls down more force into like a little ball and like pushes it onto the girl's head. And that's where she gets like that brand that's on her forehead that we see last week, which is interesting because like in the first episode when May is fighting Indara, like she moves her hair out of the way and sees the brand, and so in that moment she knows it's May and not Osha.
Yep.
But like the rest of the Jedi didn't know that was happened. So it's cool that Indara recognized that.
Well, because she in that moment she said, "Oh, it's you."
Yeah, and so we're all thinking, "Oh, it's this Jedi that left," but nope, she knew better. And so May officially becomes a witch in that moment, and then Anastasia goes to Osha and asks, will you pass on our tradition when I die? And she's like, and she pauses and has a sad face. I do, or whatever. And as Anastasia's about to do the brand thing, one of the witches runs in and says, "The Jedi are here! The Jedi are here! They sliced open the door and they're gonna be here any moment." And I'm like, oh, okay, crap's gonna hit the fan really quick, I think. And all right, they're like, all right, hide the girls. And so the girls are like hiding like in the middle of the crowd on steps or whatever, so like
Mm-hmm.
they can't be seen. And the Jedi walk in, and it's Indara, Sol, Kalneka, and then Padawan Torben, which is Indara's Padawan. And like the witches are very weird. Like, why are you here? Like, and so there's kind of like a little tension, and like we're here to kind of like see what's going on. We're afraid that you have children here that you're going to be training in your ways, because it's like they imply that witchcraft is illegal in the galaxy,
Yep.
which is interesting because everyone knows about the Dathomirian witches in the Clone Wars. Like,
Mm-hmm.
those witches are allowed to exist in open plain sight in a sense. But the Jedi here are like investigating, like, we're afraid that you're going to teach children what's happening. Right? There's no children here, but like Osha, she's like looking through the crowd and she's trying to see what's going on, and she makes eye contact with Kalneka, and Kalneka looks back at her. And so like when the mothers say, one of the witches says like there's no children here, like Kalneka's like in Shuri Wook like makes a noise and like I see some kids right there. he's like 8 feet tall, so you can like see
Yeah,
into
he
the
can see
crowd.
over everything. It's like,
um
bruh.
and like before like Kalneka like points them out, like Osha, she's like, look at their robes, like look at their weapon on their hip. Like, she's like super fascinated by the Jedi, and think
Mm-hmm.
because like she's never seen anyone else except for
The
the
witches.
witches.
Yeah.
So it's like seeing these new things is just cool to her. Um, and which is interesting is the witches accuse the Jedi of taking children, but Soul was like, I think it was Soul, or maybe it was Indara, like, we don't take children. I'm like, huh? Like, that's
Yeah.
literally what
Yeah,
you
you do.
like. Is it? Maybe he was applying like we don't just like walk into a village, grab a kid,
Yeah.
and walk. Because like, oh, we got to test them first. Like, maybe is that what it
Well,
is?
and it's also like they still have to choose. At least that's what it made it seem like. But which is weird. Okay, so like one issue that I kind of do have is like Anakin was too old. How old was Anakin?
He was 9.
These girls are like what, 8?
I think they're 8. Yeah.
So like 1 year different, or is this because of what happens here is the
I
reason why they're too old?
I think that's part of it. I think there's still like an age thing that the Jedi were weary of, but I feel like
The outcome of what's gonna happen is
that
why.
Osha and May influence the Jedi's views on when appropriate age is for kidnapping.
When they don't have a choice and when they're like 2 or 3 years old or 4 years
Right,
old.
because later on, Soul says he was 4, but like a
Mhm.
4-year-old can't choose anything. Like,
Heck no.
most 4-year-olds think they're dinosaurs or something. Like, they don't know, like, they can't make a decision like to
Mhm.
join. So it's like at their Osha and May's age, like they're at a age where at least they can understand something. Later on, we see the conversation that Osha has with Anastasia about leaving, but it's like I
Like,
just
it is a big thing, like, she's, like, crying with her mom and, like, all this stuff, so it is a big thing, so that's why I was like, But wouldn't she be too old? But it makes sense, like, if this is the reason why they decide that that is too old.
Right.
That'd
Yeah.
be kinda cool to see.
Yeah, I would appreciate that if that was a thing.
Mhm.
And so yeah, so the kids come down out of the crowd, and like Soul immediately goes up to a show how to say
I
Ahsoka
know, I heard you, I was like, "Huh?"
Osha, and gets down on one knee, and he's like, I think you'd make a wonderful Jedi, Osha. And um like she's super excited, but then like you can see, May in the back next to her kind of like not all happy about this at all type of thing.
Mhm.
um and so then they ask about the father. Where's the father? And Anastasia says there is no father. And I'm like, okay, like the Jedi didn't really think much of it. And so like something happens where like, because like she, our Soul gives like his saber to Osha to hold, because like one of the witches says like something like to like threaten the Jedi a little bit, and so then like he
Yeah.
goes to his weapon. So if everyone thinks he's gonna like draw his weapon,
Mhm.
but like he takes it out and just gives the weapon to Osha, like, hey, we're not a threat. Like I'm giving this to a kid, like, but like that witches are kind of weird. And then it goes to Torben, and his eyes turn black, and he falls to his knees, and then everything's like the Jedi are like, oh crap, what's going on? And that's when Soul grabs his saber again, like turns around and looks, and so um, um trying to think, I'm kind of getting ahead of. Okay, sorry. Before the whole Torben thing, um, the Jedi say we want to test the girls, and they say that we have a right
Mhm.
to test for Padawans, um, and which is kind of crazy. It's almost like if it's a right, then that means the Republic gave them the right to do this,
Yep.
showing that the Jedi are
Superior.
not necessarily superior, but they're like so tied with the Republic government, like the government aspect of the Republic,
Mhm.
that like they're one and the same almost, which is one of the biggest reasons why the Jedi fell, is because they didn't stay separate from the Republic. They were tied to the Senate, which is Count Dooku's gripe with the Jedi, that they were just pawns of the Senate. And so um so when they suggest that the girls need to be tested, this is when Torben is possessed and drops to his knees, and things are going crazy. And um, I think Osha was like, "Mother, I want to be tested. Like, let me take the test." And that's when they release Torben from the possession. And so in the morning, both girls, one was just Osha wanted to be tested, but then Soul was like, "No, we want May also, both girls." And they're like, fine. And so then in the morning, this is when the girls were going to be tested. And then as the Jedi leave, Anastasia says, all right, gather my advisors. We need to talk how we're going to, go about this. And so we see a group of like, I don't know, a dozen advisors there with Anastasia, and they're all arguing about what to do. Like, one, we should just kill them because they're just 4 Jedi. No one's gonna miss them. One's like, no, one drop of blood from the Jedi, the whole entire Republic's gonna show up and just destroy us. Like all that. And then Anastasia is like, we'll allow the test. Like, it's okay. Like, we don't have anything to worry about. Like, we'll just let him do the test. And so, and this is when Coral goes and talks to Anastasia more privately, and she's like, I carried these children. Like, so Coral was the one that was pregnant with the girls. But then Anastasia says, I created them, though.
Yeah.
To say, like, just because you carried them doesn't mean that you have the right to say, I'm the one that created them. But then Coral is like, but what if the Republic knew how you did it? Like, oh, like, what's going on? Because I think earlier, like, when they said, during the acceptance ceremony, she's like, said that what they do was some would call unnatural, which is a similar language that Palpatine uses in Episode 3.
Yep.
That some would consider to be unnatural. Is it possible to learn these powers? Not from a Jedi. But apparently you can learn them from a witch. So the question is, so I was reading some stuff today, and so it is canon from the comics that Palpatine is the one who made Shmi pregnant by using the Force. So, like, it was, because I think isn't in the Plagueis book, Plagueis is the one that does it, or something like that.
No, I don't. I think it's not really said,
or something like in the Plagueis book. Wasn't it something like maybe it was Plagueis was trying to create a being, but then the Force created Anakin as a response to that, or something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
But so that is not canon. But I think now the canon thing is Palpatine, what he
Actually
learned,
did it.
What he learned from Plagueis, how to create life. He did that to Shmi to make Anakin.
Interesting.
So the question then is, did Plagueis learn this making a baby thing himself, or did he learn this from the witches? Because if this is 100 years before Episode 1, which would be 91 years before Anakin's born, like, part of me wants to think that the Sith learned this from the witches.
That'd be kind of cool. Is this also something that people are complaining about?
I didn't really see that. But, like, people are just mad that Anakin's not the only person that was born without a father. Because I think, one, they think that, it was the will of the Force that Shmi got pregnant with the Chosen One.
Yeah.
But they don't know that the comics state that Palpatine is the one that
manipulated. I didn't know that. That's
manipulated midichlorians and the Force to make Shmi pregnant for the purpose of making Anakin. Like, that's why, like,
that's kind of crazy.
So that's why, like, in Episode 1, like, after the Battle of Naboo and all that stuff, Palpatine comes and sees Anakin for the first time, in quotes, and is like, we're going to watch your career with great interest. Like, why would he, like, know that Anakin was worth watching? Type of thing. And I also saw that supposedly in the comics, that Palpatine originally wanted Mother Talzin to be his apprentice. So, like, there is a tie between the Sith and witchcraft, like, before Episode 1.
Interesting.
And so if Plagueis and
we had to have Grace read us those.
So I think it's the Son of Dathomir comics, which is the Darth Maul comics of, like, his origin story.
Oh, that's cool.
So I think we'll have to have Grace do those.
Grace, if you're listening,
get on it.
Get to work.
Get to work. So, like, there seems to be a strong connection between the Sith and witchcraft in the Star Wars galaxy, and I like that. Like, some people I think are just would be mad to hear that Plagueis didn't invent this way of doing things or whatever, and that makes the Sith seem weaker or whatever. But I don't know. Palpatine also created a grand army of the Republic to kill all the Jedi, so like that's cheating too. So what's the difference? So like, whatever. I don't know. I think it's cool.
Yeah, it's interesting because like, why didn't Palpatine do it again?
I think he got the one that he wanted, Anakin. Like, maybe Anakin wasn't the first try. Maybe he tried with other people and it failed. And so when he finally got Anakin, he's like, all right, I got what I wanted. Now I just gotta groom him into a Sith Lord. So I don't know. I think it's cool.
Crazy.
I like this. I know that a lot of people aren't gonna like it because it changes how they understand the chosen one. And so you have the chosen one prophecy that says that someone will be born without a father. And so it's like,
it doesn't make it not true.
Right. And it doesn't say that the only person who would be born without a father would be the chosen one. It just says the chosen one would happen to also be that. So, and now it would be really terrible if they're in the show, they're like trying to make Osha and May the chosen ones.
Oh, dude.
Failed.
Then yes, they would lose every single.
Which, people have theorized that maybe like, the Force, created these. I continually tried to make the chosen one, but then they failed. But then Anakin was the only one. But like, it's also interesting that like Obi-Wan in Rebels believes that Luke is a chosen one, but he knows Luke has a father. Yeah. So chosen one stuff, super confusing. We did a Cantina discussion on it like 4 years ago. So go look back at like episode like 15 or 20 or something. Go check that out somewhere way back 4 years ago. But
yeah. You know what's not confusing?
What's that?
Coffee and tea. It's pretty straightforward.
Well, the way you and Andrew talk about coffee sometimes, I'm like, this is way too complicated.
That's fair. But there's a simple way to do it.
Yep. Grind some beans or get some tea packets, throw it in some hot water, and boom, you got coffee. And coincidentally, once again, our sponsor for today is Wesley Andrews Coffee and Tea out of Minneapolis, Minnesota. So if you feel like kidnapping some children or you're trying to stop someone from kidnapping your children, maybe you should think about it over a cup of coffee or tea from Wesley Andrews Coffee and Tea. So let's take a listen.
Hey everyone, Andrew here. I'm pleased to tell you that the sponsor of today's episode is Wesley Andrews Coffee and Tea. If you don't know anything about Wesley Andrews, you definitely should. They're an award-winning coffee roaster and shop in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and they make fantastic coffee. The awesome thing is that whether you live in the Twin Cities or not, you can get their coffee beans delivered straight to your door by ordering them online. They even have a subscription service that ensures you never run out of amazing coffee. If you've been looking for some new coffee to try or a way to elevate your normal coffee routine, now's your chance. Head over to wesleyandrews.cc, use the code EMPIRERADIO, that's with a capital E and a capital R with no space at checkout, to get 15% off your first purchase of any bags of coffee or a coffee subscription. I can't think of a better deal. Get 15% off some great coffee, support a small business, and support your favorite Star Wars podcast. In the words of Emperor Palpatine, do it.
Do it.
Do it.
And as a disclaimer, we do not support kidnapping of anyone of any
what the heck was that? I was like,
no. All right. So during this advisory meeting, as they're all arguing, Mother Anastasia was like, yes, well, let him take the test. We'll just do it. We don't want to draw attention to ourselves. Basically, let's just see how it plays out. But then the oldest character ever in Star Wars, an old witch lady that I don't know what species she is, but she was really old. And she's like the oldest one there, by a long shot. She's like, well, the test is pass or fail. So what does that tell you? And they all look at each other like, oh, okay. That's basically,
let's make them fail.
Let's just have them fail on purpose. And so the next scene is them, Anastasia talking with the girls, and Osha is just like, I don't want to do this. No, May is giddy. Like, I can lie. Osha is like, I don't like this. Like,
I don't want to lie.
I want to be a Jedi. Like, I want to do this. Like, and she's like, well, how would I even fail the test anyway? And Anastasia's like, well, I don't know what they're going to ask you, but whatever you feel in your heart, say the opposite. Or whatever. So it's like, don't give them any leverage to believe that you are Jedi material. And so what's like, there's kind of, I forget exactly how I would say, but there's kind of like, I think Osha said something about the Jedi are good or something like that. And Anastasia is like, this isn't about what's good or bad. It's about power and who can use it, right? Which is a line from the trailer. And it's like, you know, there are witches, and that's what seems to be implied, is that witchcraft is illegal. Like, they're not allowed to have this power, but the Jedi are. I'm like, they're like, this is not fair. Like, let us do our own thing. Like, let us practice our view of the Force, our religion. Like, it's not good or bad. Like, there shouldn't just be power on one group of people. And so, and it's like, I think she said something else here about, like, you know, it's the thread, you know, pull it for yourself. Like, there's not like, I think it was in the scene where she's like, there's not like an unstoppable force that controls everything. Like, you have a choice to like pull the thread in your direction and make your own destiny, type of thing. Because this episode is destiny. Like, it's very much like you have a choice to be who you want to be. You don't have to go with what you're told by those in power, type of thing. So that's that. And so then it's the next day in the morning, and the witches go to the Jedi ship that's in like a big open field for the test. And so this is then with the girls' facial expressions, the opposite of the Ascension ceremony. Osha has she's happy, ready to go, giddy, kind of. And then May is not happy about this at all. She doesn't want to be a part of this. And so May makes Osha promise that she's going to lie. And so Osha says, like, all right, I'll lie and make sure that I fail. And then May gets called in to be the first to go on the test. And while she's in there, she sees Cal NECA working on a little speeder bike and just walks over and taps him on the back and talks, I guess. She doesn't know what she doesn't know what she's saying. I heard someone make the comment that this is where she gets her first like mechanical lesson or something.
Oh, that'd be cool.
So she becomes a mech neck, as we see, for her job.
And that's actually kind of cool to think about.
Mech neck and Cal neck is the one that shows her.
I see what you did there.
Yep. And so maybe he just like, yeah, this is broken here, and let me show you how to fix it. Which I think it would be a cool thing. And did you notice Cal NECA's head at all? So like he has a shaved head, but with like a mohawk that's tied back.
No, I didn't notice that.
Yeah, so he has like a shaved mohawk head, but with like his beard, obviously his facial hair and stuff, and so it's like kind of weird seeing.
It's a really cool looking Wookiee, that's for sure.
Yeah, I think he looks cool.
I mean, I really hope we get to see him in like action. I think that'd be cool.
Well, I think when May shows up on that planet that he's on, there's definitely going to be a lot of fighting there.
Yeah.
He's definitely going to die.
Don't say that.
I think he's going to die. I think he's going to die. I think that Soul, if anyone survives, it's going to be Soul.
He's the soul of the show.
He's the sole survivor. Oh, burr, burr, burr. But I don't know. So May comes out of the ship happy. And she goes up to her mother like, I did what you want me to do. I lied. They do not want me to become a Jedi type of thing. And so then Osha goes in and Torben is there. And she sees his saber and is like, when do you get one of those? And he's like, well, after a lot of training, you finally get one. And as just talking about this, he takes a blood sample of her, which I appreciate that detail because ever since the midichlorians were introduced in episode 1, people have hated that, but they're doubling down, taking it. And like, this is still a true thing. Like the Force is still a science-based thing, not necessarily only a spiritual thing. So I like that they did that. So then Osha then goes to Indara and Sol to take the test. And I'm like, okay, what's this test? And it's literally the same test Anakin got in episode 1.
Yeah.
A little data pad.
Yeah.
And it's just recite what they see. And so the first thing is a Loth cat. And she's like, what did she say it was? A spaceship or something?
Mm-hmm.
And Sol looked at her like, correct. And Osha's like, huh? Type of thing. And then next one up, it's like some like mechanical device. I don't know what it was. And she's like, oh, it's a mountain. And so like, correct. And she's like, well, that wasn't and then stops herself. He's like, oh, gotcha. So were you purposely lying? Did they tell you to lie to us? And so then there's a whole conversation about how, you know, when he was 4 years old, the Jedi discovered him and he didn't want to leave his family, but like he had to make a choice even though he's only 4. And
a choice.
And because he's like, I don't want to leave my family, just like you don't want to leave your family. And he asked her, do you want to become a Jedi? And she's like, yes. And he's like, well, that takes courage. And so like the truth, like you have to tell the truth, and that's going to be a very courageous thing. So you have to like tell us the truth about what, you know, this in this test, but also it's kind of like you have to tell your family and the other witches the truth that you want to be a Jedi and you want to do your own thing type of thing. And so then they do the rest of they continue on the test. I should say, Sol also says that there's other children in the Jedi Order, and she's super excited to hear that there's other children just like her that she can connect with because she was upset that her and May were the only ones.
There's thousands of them.
Yeah, so she's super excited for that. And yeah, so he just says, you know, you have to tell the truth, and that's a courageous thing. So let's finish the test. And so this is the scene I mentioned earlier where Osha walks out. May runs up to her with like a little like happy look on her face, but you just very subtly see her get angry, and it was just super good acting. I love that moment from that girl. I don't know their actress name. I think it's like Leah and Lindsay or something like that. I don't know, something like that. But whoever that one was, great job. Super subtle. I really liked it. Oh, and Osha looks off at Kelneka in the distance, and Kelneka tell he's happy with what
Do you see what?
happened.
Yeah. Do you see what Daddy Pulp said in the chat?
Kind of is, yeah. Yep, that's funny. He just says his 4-year-old doesn't like wearing pants, so how can he decide if he wants to join the Jedi or not?
Yeah, he's like, what gets me is like, how can someone know that they decide to be a Jedi when they're 4 years old? When my kid is 4 and she doesn't even like to wear pants.
That's funny.
It's true though. It's kind of like, did you really decide at 4? I mean, granted, they have the Force, so like they might be more in tune to things, but at the same time, like, what I mean, you kind of know by this story alone that they didn't really know what they wanted, right? Because one wants to do it because she just wants to travel and like she wants different things and she wants to be known for not just being her sister.
Right.
The other one wants to just listen to her mom and do whatever her mom is wanting her to do, and she just wants to be like do what she's supposed to be doing because this is all she knows, and she doesn't have a desire to go and do other things because she just wants to be with her sister, with her family, what she's told to do, what they are known to do forever. So like it just shows you like they don't know, like the Jedi can't assume like kids will make that decision, especially like human kids compared to aliens. Like we don't understand like a process between like different species and like their development and what they actually want might be different, but like in this scenario I don't think that really works.
Right. And it's like I also think that with like the Jedi were seen as the heroes in the galaxy a lot by most people.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that it was to a degree like an honor to have to know that your child was sought out by the Jedi and could become a Jedi. Um, like even like with in Tales of the Jedi with the Ahsoka origin story of where she came from, like her village, like the old grandma, you know, at the end of the episode when she believes that Ahsoka can use the Force, she's like, Jedi, Ahsoka is a Jedi.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was kind of like this is a great honor that like she's gonna aspire to be these great things. And so when Plo Koon comes to their village looking for her, like the town, yeah, would probably miss having a child with them, but they also kind of saw it as a thing of honor
Mm-hmm.
that they could then send her away knowing that it would be better for her in a sense.
Yeah, but in this scenario that's not what those people want.
No. So this is a lot to think about, I guess. And so then this is the moment that you mentioned earlier with Osha and her mother talking privately about this. And before they have their moment, May is angry and so tries to fight her sister again,
Mm-hmm.
like pushing her around, whatever. Coral, or is that a Coral? I can't remember. Coral, she takes May away, and then it's just Osha and Anastasia talking. And Osha is like, I want to become a Jedi. Like, it sucks to leave. I'm never going to see you again, but I want to become a Jedi. This is what I want. And Anastasia was very compassionate about this, like understanding, and was basically like, it's your choice, like what you want to do. If you want to pull this thread in this direction, go right ahead, type of thing. But she also did say that she's like, it was still kind of like her final say because she kind of made a comment of like, I'll take your words into consideration and what we'll do, type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But Anastasia was teary-eyed and crying. Like, in that moment, she's like, it's still my decision, but I'm going to go let Osha make this decision for herself so she can go. So the next scene then is Osha packing up her things in her room. And she has like her book that she was drawing in before. And we see that there's like a Jedi symbol, similar to the Jedi symbol, which she hadn't seen yet when she was drawing that, which is interesting. So it's like almost like she saw this symbol in her mind or in a dream or something. She's just putting it down, which is cool. But as she's packing, May comes in to her room. She's like, you can't leave. And she's like, what are you going to do? You can't make me. He's like, well, yeah, I'll kill you. Like, whoa.
Yeah, it got dark real quick.
What? Like, you're going to kill your sister like that? Like, I was kind of shocked by that. Like, a little extreme. But she's like, well, I'll kill you, whatever. And then she grabs the book out of Osha's hand, like pushes her down, runs out, closes the door. And then so Osha can't get out, but then she like takes the book and like puts it on the flame of like this witch lantern thing. That was kind of cool. I don't know what it was. So we see that the book catch on fire. And then it goes back into the room from Osha's perspective. And then she just kind of like runs away from the door and calls for her mother. And then she looks back and there's this huge flames. So like you said earlier, we didn't see her take that book and start putting other things on fire. But it's like
it goes from like 0 to 100
really fast.
It's like, I don't think that's how fire works.
And like some people were complaining that this is like a completely stone facility.
Yeah.
So why is everything catching on fire? So I just thought it was like lazy writing that everything was catching on fire. But I'm like, whatever. There's other stuff in the room. I don't know. Whatever. So Osha goes.
It's very electronic though too. So you got to think like becomes electrical burn at some point.
That too. But so Osha, she goes to this like cubby hole door thing that has like an electrical panel on it. That's like a locked door. And so she's like rips the thing off the wall and tries to like hot wire the door to open up. It's like a little tunnel thing. And so she starts crawling through there to escape. And then it goes into like an open, like behind the wall, like cavern pathway thing. So she's running through
the garbage chute or something.
I don't know. But then like something happens where she's going along and there's a big sound and screams and she looks up and there's like a ceiling thing where like she can like see through up to the above, and like there's screams and fire and explosions or something. I'm like, what's going on? Like the witches are all like screaming or fighting or something. We don't know what's going on. And we get to the room where there's like that power generator that we saw earlier. And it's spazzing out and then explodes. And so then the bridge that she's standing on gets split into two. And Osha is on one side, and then May sees her and it runs. And so they're on the other side, each side of the bridge. And Osha's like, what did you do, May? And Maze is like, I didn't do this type of thing. Like, well, looks like you kind of did from a certain point of view. And Osha's like, where's Mother? And May's like, Mother's dead. And then like then the bridges start to collapse, and Soul is running in trying to like find Osha and May. The bridges start to collapse, and then that's when Osha and May stop arguing and are like, "Oh crap, we're about to die. Maybe we shouldn't be arguing right now." And May's bridge fully collapses. She falls. So last week when Soul says that one, he saw her die. That's what he saw, her falling down.
Yeah.
But then he also says later on, I think in the second episode, that she was presumed dead. So it's like we thought he lied, but he didn't really lie. He just assumed that when she fell down a giant cavern with fire,
that you're dead.
You're dead. But he must not know that in Star Wars, if you fall,
no one falls to their death.
No one falls to their death unless you're Tech. But
yeah,
R.I.P. Tech.
Still hate that.
And so then Osha's part of the bridge starts to fall, and that's when Soul runs in, catches her by the arm, and then pulls her up. And then they have to escape through this burning building, and they get to a room, and there's all these dead witches on the ground. They're just dead, like, but they're not like burnt. And like, sure, maybe like they got killed maybe they got stabbed by lightsabers, and you just can't see their wounds. But it's like a fire didn't kill these people. And then they keep going, and then another room that's on fire. They see Anastasia on the ground, and May tries to like stop to go to her mother's body, and so like we gotta go, and takes her, and then it goes to black. I'm like, oh no, is this the end of the episode? No. Goes to the ship that they're on. They're on their way to Coruscant, and May has like an oxygen mask on her. Osha has an oxygen mask on her. She wakes up, and Soul kind of explains everything that happened because Osha just doesn't know what happened. And
she's like, Mom.
And he's like, sorry, she's dead. And then she's crying. Soul, he's like the most emotional, like,
yeah, because he cries too.
Compassionate Jedi we've ever seen. Like in this movie, we've never seen like a Jedi like hug a person in pain before like this. Like they like because Osha, she goes to hug Soul, and he hugs her back, and he's like, "You're never gonna feel like this way ever again. I promise you, you're never gonna feel this way ever again." I'm like, oh, dang! Like, I feel like that's a foreshadow of something he's gonna fail at in the future.
For real though.
Because if she finds out that they lied about what happened, which just seems like they did, she's going to feel that way again. And so, we shall say, in this scene, Torben has his messed up eye and face all slashed up. And I'm like, that doesn't happen from a fire. And so, it goes to black again. And then the final scene is May back at that yellow bunta tree again to see if Osha's there, because I don't know, I can't remember if I mentioned this, but like whenever she can't find Osha, she always finds her at this tree. So she went to the tree to see if Osha was there, and she wasn't. And then that's the end of the episode.
Yeah. Pretty intense.
Pretty intense episode. Tons of speculation on how everything works. A lot of stuff about the Force, about witchcraft, magic, and the image of the Jedi being the bad guys was kind of cool. And seeing the two girls having opposite sides of personalities and desires and stuff was cool. So like I said at the beginning of this episode, I really, really like this episode. A lot of fun. I just hope that moving forward, like this level of like intrigue continues.
Yeah.
Because if
I
it
think
goes
it
back,
will.
because it's like, well, what are they going to talk about now? That's going to be like intriguing, because now it's going to go back to the story that we got in the first 2 episodes. So it's like, what's going to happen? Are we going to go back to Kalneka next week on that forest planet? I'm
and
hoping.
actually get more of the story instead of just more flashbacks.
Right, because I think we're done with flashbacks until like the last episode or the second to last episode, when the truth is fully revealed. But I don't know.
I think the same. It's kind of like, well, we're gonna get it, just when. But yeah, I kind of with you. I kind of don't want it next week. Like, I want to get back to the main story, and I'm really intrigued to figure out who this person is. Essentially, like, who is this?
The master.
The master, yeah. Like that's still very much intriguing to me. Like, is it that dude? It'd be really cool and it makes sense. Or is it someone else? Is it someone that we potentially know? Like, there's so many questions and stuff like that just around him. Right. Or her, or whatever they make them to be. So like, I just want to know that story. But I don't know. I liked it, and like I said earlier, it really felt like Star Wars, and it really felt like kind of like it was a really intriguing story because you saw it from their perspective, and like, did the Jedi just kill all these people? Did the witch just decide like, we can't do anything, we're gonna lose our thread, and they imploded themselves and caused this? And like, what if that happened?
Because I was thinking 2 things. The clues that we got last week was like when May challenges Indara, and Dara's like, Jedi don't attack unarmed people. And May's like, yes, you do. So that's a hint that Master Indara attacked someone unprovoked or something like that. But also, when May confronted Torben, she's like, confess your sins, or not the sins?
Something like that, where he had guilt to the point where he killed himself. So something happened. And it wasn't that all the witches killed themselves.
She said, confess your crimes to the Senate. So Torben did something that was illegal also. So the evidence is pointing that the Jedi
done messed up.
They screwed up. They accidentally they must have. I want to feel like they saw the fire happening. They stormed. They stormed the castle or the facility, and maybe the witches thought that the Jedi started to fire, and so then the witches, they attack maybe, thinking that they're being attacked, like they're acting in self-defense, but they don't realize.
Well, and something happened to Corbin's face. That's not a burn,
right? So it's almost like they both thought, in that, like when they got to get like the Jedi coming in, and they run into the witches, that they both think in that moment they're doing self-defense. But then, so both sides are thinking the other side is attacking them, which makes the story even more complicated. That they both think they're in the right, because that's what Torben says. We did what we thought was right, but he realized later that they were wrong. So I don't know. It's a spicy. You're
plot. Into it now, though.
I never had like last week. I never had any problem with the story. It was just the execution and the aesthetics that I had an issue with. But I think if they can keep the momentum they have with this episode going forward, I think I'll be happy with the show as a whole. But there's still 5 more episodes left. So
yeah, we'll see. I'm excited. Like I said, I enjoyed it. A lot of people hate it. I'm probably gonna go see why people hate it as much as people are saying they do. And yeah, I think if you guys just found us,
get caught up because this is 262
well, that, but
episodes.
then it's also like understand like what I said earlier. Like we're not here to hate everything that Disney puts out, and we're not trying to hate the show, and we're like currently enjoying it, and we enjoyed this episode, so like don't hate us for that.
Right.
I mean, there's people that are subscribed to us on Twitch and stuff, then like literally said like, yeah, I'm trying my best to like it, but dang, it's tough. I'm glad you guys liked it though. Like that's the kind of stuff that we want to see. Like if you guys like are mad that we like it, fine, but understand like we're liking it for our perspective and our views, just like anyone else that likes episode 8, and somehow I'm okay with it. So if I can do episode 8, you guys can hang on with us during the show.
Yeah,
So
like
far,
we try to critique things like on a fair level. Like we if we don't like something, it's for specific reasons. If we like something, it's for specific reasons. We don't just hate something just to hate it. So
yeah. Cool.
All right. Cool. Anything else, Drew, before we jump over to everyone's favorite time of every episode?
No, let's jump.
All right, let's transition over to voicemail time.
It's voicemail time.
All right. Well, we just have one voicemail tonight. And this individual saved the day because I said in Discord like an hour and a half before we started that the streak is dying out. Someone has to send someone in. So our good friend Will.
Oh, okay.
He saved the day. So let's take a listen to Will's question.
Hey, Empire Radio. Will here. I have a cold, allergy, something right now. So just let me ask you this. What's your surefire way of getting rid of a cold? Whether it's like a home remedy, whatever.
All right, thank you, Will. We haven't heard your laugh like that in a while, so we're good to hear that.
Yeah.
But he's sick.
Most random question of all time, but
and it was like his voice was a lot lower than it normally is.
Yeah.
That was because he's sick. But question is, how do we combat the cold? What do you do? Do you do anything special?
Water and sleep. That's pretty much it. Like
you don't take any medicine or any.
I mean, I'll take like emergency or like I don't know, like orange juice, Tylenol if I have a headache, you know. But I got nothing like out of the ordinary or anything crazy. Like I don't have like a recipe of a drink that I do and I drink it upside down with a straw or anything like that.
Well, one, I rarely get sick. Like I used to be like once a winter I'd get like a sinus infection type thing that was always really bad for like 2 weeks. But it hasn't been like the last like 5 years I haven't really had a big issue. I had COVID once. After 3 years in, I finally got COVID. And then I think like last fall I had a sinus infection in one nostril, not both, which I've never had in my life.
It was so weak it couldn't do the full thing.
Yeah, it was like just super annoying. But what I normally do, it's all about
teapots.
No, Walgreens brand NyQuil, cherry flavored. That's my go-to. It helps me sleep at night when I have that sinus infection. and probably a humidifier.
I mean, anytime, I think it's like anytime like Miles is sick, like you have to like alternate Tylenol and like Motrin, I think, or whatever the other one is. So you like rotate, and then we always put like a humidifier in the room to like clean them up a little bit.
Yeah, when I get that sinus infection, my throat gets dry really fast. Like I always have a water next to me at night because my throat gets dry as it is. But like when I'm sick, it gets super dry. So I need that humidifier going full
As
steam.
a little kid, I used to get ear infections like crazy. Bro, that stuff sucked. Like it hurt so bad. Like I would get them nonstop, like all the time. And then they took out my tonsils, and then I never got them again. So
fun.
I don't know. Well, if you get ear infection, just go take out your tonsils. That might help you.
Yep. All right. Well, thank you, Will. Hope you feel better.
Get rest. Your team just won again, 3 in a row. I mean, you should.
Is it the finals now?
Yeah, one more. If Boston wins again, they win. So they just won tonight. So
who are they playing against?
Mavericks, the team that beat us.
And who are you rooting for?
I don't really care. I mean, I wouldn't mind the Mavericks winning because then they beat us, but at this point, they're not going to. Boston won because no one has ever come down from 3-0 and come back and won.
If the Timberwolves made it to the finals, could they have beaten the Celtics?
I think we would have had a better chance, but then I don't know because they're kind of dominating the Mavericks right now, and we were struggling so bad, so I have no idea. Like, I didn't think the Mavericks were as good as they actually are because, sorry, Will, the East is horrible. So, like, it's like the beginning of the year, we knew Boston was going to be in the finals. Like, you call that like game 1 of the season. So, like, it's not really the same. But now it's like, now that you're actually seeing them going against a Western team that like destroyed the number 1 defense of the league, which is us, and like pretty much we won one game, but like I don't even know how. So, and to see them dominate them like that, it's kind of like, oh, they're actually really good. So,
all right, cool. I think what is it? I had Will for like the Secret Santa thing that we did.
Mm-hmm.
I think I bought him a Celtics throw blanket or something.
Oh, cool. Yeah, so I know he's a big fan of the Boston, so
he's probably wrapped up in his Celtics blanket with his cold right now.
Yeah, and like he probably didn't even like, he's been on and off in the chat tonight, but it's probably because he's watching the game, knowing him. So, all right, you guys deserve it if you win it. So, shout out to you, Will. Maybe that'll help you feel better. All right, that's your home remedy to Boston winning.
Yep. All right, well, that's everything we have planned for tonight, folks. So, if you are new and you want to get connected to Empire Radio, click in the description below wherever you're watching or listening. The links.co/Empire Radio, link spelled 2 eyes. Click that, bring you to a landing page for everything Empire Radio. So, follow us on YouTube, follow us on Twitch. We do live streams of every episode on Twitch, so go check us out on there Wednesday nights. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook. Join a Discord. You can hang out with Will in the Discord and talk to him a little bit here and there if you want. And other people that are in chat, that are in Discord as well. Go check out that. And let us know your thoughts on Acolyte, because there's a whole channel devoted to discussion of Acolyte. So go click on that and give us your thoughts. If you want to send a voicemail as well, what are you doing with your life? Get it done. We can't rely on Will every week. Just if you're listening, click right now, send us a voicemail, ask us a question, or give us a comment, and we love to hear from you. Anything else? Fan email. I don't know if I said that. Then needlesslynerdy.com, which is an entertainment network that we're part of, so go check that out for other nerdy content, other podcasts, stuff like that. I think that's it.
Yeah.
Yep. So I was kind of disappointed that this episode was just a one-word title.
Oh, yeah, because your whole thing was like,
I thought every episode it's gonna be 2 things, but so I wonder if we're done with the whole 2-word /
yin and yang
title
kind of thing.
Yeah, so I don't know. I'm finally excited for the show now, moving forward. So next week should be a doozy, episode 4, whatever that is.
Yeah, hopefully it doesn't let you down.
hopefully the season isn't up and down. Like every week, one week is good, next week's bad.
Yeah, it's like flashbacks are good, present sucks. That would not be good. So
all right, well, until next week, you're listening to another Acolyte-tastic episode of Empire Radio. I'm Jeremiah.
I'm Drew.
And may the Force be with you.
Always.